staying awake so that we can sleep very well at night.
Soundly.
Thank you. To our next story. You know, clean energy, also known as renewable or green energy produced from natural resources, is coming to stage in our country. The boss of the Rural Electrification Agency, Abba Aliyu, had a one-on-one chat with journalist Hangout. Now, plans are afoot to expand clean energy across our country. We are well on the way to having a renewable energy with our abundance of natural resource. Think of solar, wind, or geothermal power. Let's share that interview with our own Babajide Kolade Otutoji with you. Let's go there. Thank you.
This is a special interview with the CEO of Rural Electrification Agency, Engineer Abba Aliyu. Engineer Abba Aliyu has been on the saddle for some months now. Good to see you and good to interface with you on a day like this.
Thank you.
You've been on the saddle for some time. How would you describe the experience and how much joy does it give you every time you achieve your aim?
Thank you very much. Yeah, as you rightly said, I've been the Managing Director and Chief Executive Officer of Rural Electrification Agency for over a year. Being at the helms of the affairs of the Rural Electrification Agency is a different ball game. The challenges are quite enormous. Yeah. The country, Nigeria, it's one country that has the highest number of people that are without access to electricity. Reason being that one, the rate at which the population growth in the country vis-a-vis the electrification rate are not going hand in hand. Yes. And secondly, also it's also the fact that most of the electrification infrastructure are very old. There has not been significant investment in the rapid electrification, more especially in the rural areas. So we have quite a very big mandate of addressing the challenge and at the same time also creating reliability for areas that are without reliability. Quite all right, this is one job that gives you joy when you deliver. Yes. When you go to rural areas that are without electricity and you deploy this infrastructure and you see that infrastructure catalyzing a socio-economic development within that area and you see the joy that you create in the lives of people, it quite gives you that joy as well. Yes. Seeing how you are transforming lives in the people's life, more especially in the rural areas.
Talking about our people in the rural areas, from your experience and with working with your partners, do you think that if they are given electricity access, they will be prepared to pay?
So it's quite a cliche, the thought that the rural areas cannot afford to pay for electricity. Yes. And this is based on fact, based on data. Our electricity payment rate in the rural areas is even higher than that of the urban areas. Wow. Of course, their consumption is very low, yes. But it's within the rural areas, it's even a shame for one not to be able to pay for the electricity. So their very payment rate, it's very high, and secondly, they are very conscious or electricity efficient in that way. They know that if I'm leaving my household, I need to switch off the electricity to reduce my bill. There was a time the vice president of the World Bank came and we went to one of the communities in Kwali that we deployed solar infrastructure. Yes. He was amazed to find out that the people in these rural communities, they even buy their electricity token using their mobile app, and they switch off their electricity to make sure that they reduce the costs or the bill that comes with it. So it's very well developed. It's that cliche thinking that they don't have the means to pay it's not there. It's just thinking. They pay for electricity. They have the means to pay for electricity. And the electricity deployment in these rural areas also catalyze economic activities for them to even have more economic means to pay for this electricity.
Yes. Do you experience energy theft, as is often the case with the discourse, that in terms of renewable energy, does it happen?
So because wherever we go, when we produce, when we deploy our infrastructure, we deploy it with 100% metering. All the rural areas that we put our mini grid, that's 100% metering. Not only that, we also deploy our SCADA system. That is a system that we use to detect every electron that is being generated, where it goes, and accounting for that electron. So we do not, and this is learning from what has happened on the on-grid, what is happening at the disco level. So that is why, as we go, we deploy the distribution network, we do metering, and we ensure that we have a means of communicating. From this office, we can communicate with all the mini grids that we deploy. We can see the level of generation, we can see the level of consumption, even at a point of sale level, which is at the meter level. So that is why all these thefts, economic losses, commercial losses, we hardly experience it as much as what is being experienced at the on-grid level.
Okay. Let us talk about your plan for the tertiary institutions in our country, the universities, the polytechnics. I'm aware of your efforts. You have given the people renewable energy access. What do you intend to do going forward? What are your immediate plans? We
designed a landmark project called Energizing Education Program, where we intervene in these particular federal universities. The Honorable Minister of Power mandated Rural Electrification Agency to intervene in 4 critical sectors. We intervene in education, we intervene in health, agriculture, and recently we are also intervening in the security sector of the Nigerian economy. Now, for the education, what we do is to go to this federal university and deploy hybrid mini grid in these universities that will provide 24/7 sustainable, reliable, and affordable electricity for the universities. When you look at the universities, one of the challenges they are experiencing is the affordability. They are able to afford the electricity that they are consuming. And that is why the leadership of Mr. President provided us with the funding to intervene, to provide them with this mini grid. We have just completed 7 universities. University of Maiduguri, where we deployed one of the biggest mini grid, a 12 megawatt interconnected mini grid powering the university, the teaching hospital, and even have excess capacity that we want to power the water treatment plant in the Maiduguri Metropolitan. We have it in the University of Abuja, a 3 megawatt. We have it also University of Calabar, where we power the university and the teaching hospital. We have it also at the University of Umudike in Abia State. We have it at Federal University of Agriculture, Akure also. So these 7 universities have been completed. And one important thing is that in all this university, we deploy also a world-class training center where we equip it with renewable equipment to provide the university with an opportunity to continue to build talent pipeline, train these students in renewable energy technology. So as we completed the 7 university and 2 teaching hospitals, the federal government, under the leadership of Mr. President, provided us with additional funding, and now we are working in another set of 8 universities and 1 teaching hospital. University of Port Harcourt, University of Uyo, Federal University of Technology, Imo Owerri State, Federal University of Technology in Yola, Lokoja, Nasarawa, I mentioned Uyo. So these 8 universities are also set of universities that we are about to complete. We'll start commissioning of these 8 universities in the next 2 months. And at the same time, as we are completing this round, the federal government, still through the Renewed Hope Infrastructure Fund, provided us with additional funding to intervene in another 8 set of universities: Obafemi Awolowo University, University of Ibadan, University of Lagos, University of Nigeria Nsukka, Ahmadu Bello University, Federal University Wukari in Taraba, Federal University in Dutse, Jigawa State, then University of Benin. This set of 8 universities, we just signed a collaborative agreement with the university and the Federal Ministry of Education, and we are now about to intervene in these universities. In all, we deploy the mini-grid that generate the electricity, upgrade the entire distribution network, provide 100% metering, deploy SCADA system that would make sure that we communicate with this mini-grid to ensure the viability and optimize the operation of this mini-grid.
Let's talk about the tertiary health institutions. It was in the news some time ago that, the University College Hospital,
Ibadan.
UCH,
yes,
which is the teaching hospital of the University of Ibadan, was owing a lot of money, and the discos disconnected power to them. What are you doing to assist these tertiary health institutions to have access to electricity so that they can continue to provide service efficiently?
So the swiftness of the Honorable Minister of Power is what made us to quickly deploy and start designing this intervention. Like I told you, under the Renewed Hope Infrastructure Fund, we are now targeting the University of Ibadan and the teaching hospital. Yeah. And I told you that we also intervene at the University of Maiduguri Teaching Hospital, University of Calabar Teaching Hospital, and University of Port Harcourt Teaching Hospital. So we have that specific also design intervention in different health institutions. Yes. I must also said that we deployed 50 containerized mini-grid in 100 different federal, tertiary, secondary, and primary health centers across the country. But even beyond that, the President approved a concept, the National Public Sector Solarization Initiative, where we got a funding of about 100 billion under the 2025 capital project. Through that intervention, we are also going further to intervene in other health institutions. We are going to intervene in Aminu Kano Teaching Hospital that is under Bayero University, Kano. We are going to intervene at the National Orthopedic Hospital that is in Enugu. We are also going to intervene in federal medical centers. So all these interventions are being designed to make sure that these critical health infrastructures are also provided with sustainable, reliable, and cost-effective electricity in that. Not only the health, like I mentioned, we also intervene in agricultural sectors where we map different agricultural hubs, agricultural clusters, yes, and deploy this mini-grid to, 1, increase the agricultural production, and 2, reduce post-harvest losses, which is one of the greatest challenges affecting the food security in the country. Yes. We provide this reliable electricity where farmers that work within these clusters or hub will have opportunity to preserve their food produce, and at the same time also process it. One of our landmark project that is called the Africa Mini-Grid Project. Currently, we are deploying 18 mini-grid in different agricultural hubs and clusters, one of which is in a community called Alheri Community in Kwampam in Jos Plateau State, where they produce rice. By deploying our mini-grid, it has reduced their cost of production by 50%. That makes them more competitive, and they can go back to their processing of this rice in it. So this is what we are doing in these sectors.
Yeah, a country like Morocco has made a name for itself in terms of renewable energy, especially solar. People are wondering why we can't do as much, despite the abundant sunlight that we have. Somebody said in the Jumari area of Bauchi State that is very sunny and all that. What is your vision in terms of improving the access to electricity through the renewable energy module?
I can say without any doubt that Nigeria, under the leadership of President Bola Ahmed Tinubu, is positioned to take over and go beyond what Morocco has done. Initially, before now, we know that the solar, it's an alternative source to generate this electricity, but there has never been some kind of conscious effort or putting structure for us to really harness this opportunity. It is under this leadership that we are able to, one, developed the biggest public sector renewable energy project in the entire world, which is called the Distributed Access Through Renewable Energy Scale-Up, a $750 million project funded by the World Bank, which will catalyze a private sector funding of $1.1 billion US. This project has already started. It is designed to deploy 1,350 mini grids, of which 250 of them will be interconnected mini grid, and also electrify 17.5 million Nigerians. Not only that, based on also the Nigeria First policy, we are now working to make sure that we make Nigeria to be the renewable hub of Africa by localizing the manufacturing of most of this renewable project in the country. Already to date, we have the over 600 megawatt capacity of PV panels manufacturing and assembly plant in the country. We are in the process of deploying a $150 million investment with a Chinese company that has been working with REA for the lithium battery assembly plant in the country. We are also working with another oil and gas company that has been operating in Nigerian space that wants to diversify into the renewable for the complete 14-stage manufacturing of a lithium battery in the country. This is what is happening.
Let's talk about the decision to opt for solar energy in respect of the State House. There are many people who criticized the decision and said, no, why should the State House be on solar? Why shouldn't they be on the national grid like the rest of us? Why do you think it was seriously necessary, in spite of the cost, to put the State House on solar?
Why not? Why shouldn't the State House be on an alternative source of energy? The country, even before the coming of the current president, is a signatory to Paris Accord, where we commit to reduce the emission level. And one of the best way of doing that is deployment of solar energy. So State House doing that, it's the country committing to that aspect of it. So why shouldn't people, for example, ask why are the rural areas also getting this solar, or why are people in their own house deploying solar home system? I think it is just a way of showing that commitment to renewable energy, which is a new ecosystem in the country. The National Public Sector Solarization Initiative being created by the Honorable Minister of Power. That is why we are going to all different government institutions to solarize them, to reduce cost of governance, so that the money that you are using to buy diesel can be used to provide more infrastructure, health centers, education, and stop.
But people talked about the cost.
The cost of solar is very clear, right? It's contingent upon the megawatts that is being generated. There's a rule of thumb that is there, and also it's contingent upon the distribution network. So oftentimes people just feel that you are putting the solar panels, you need to deploy the distribution line to evacuate the electricity to this. You need to put the cost of the the SCADA, the automated energy management system that you would use to make sure that this power plant is being optimized. There is also cost of metering. All these are costs that are not being factored when discussing this kind of projects.
Now, apart from solar, are you looking at other sources of renewable energy? Wind, for example, in good old Katsina State, there's a big project that has not kicked off after so many years. Are you looking at wind and other sources of renewable energy?
Yeah, the Honorable Minister of Power, one of the mandates he gave us is for us to key into the big project, the Coastal Highway project that Mr. President is implementing. What the Minister of Power told us is that all those states at the coastal area that will benefit from this coastal highway now have this opportunity for also integrating, harnessing the wind energy, because those areas are known to have very high potential of coastal wind that can generate electricity. So we are integrating ourselves. What we are doing now is to start to carry out study around those areas and see what wind energy potential that we can harness into that. That is one. Even the Sokoto-Badagry Highway, one of the things the Minister of Power told us is that it will open a lot of small, medium, and micro dams around this area. Let us start, as the project is going, start also our study and see which of these dams we can harness that is within the mandate of Rural Electrification Agency. But as we are saying this, we are already also implementing a project in Gombe, Balanga, with United Nations Industrial Development Organization for a 380 kilowatt hybrid hydro and solar project, where we are going to use the dam to generate electricity and also deploy solar panel. And it's going to be one of the most cheapest tariff electricity generation cost in the entire country. That project has already been done. We are already doing the design of the project and we will deploy it. We have also tested a biomass project in Adamawa where we do a hybrid of biomass and solar. And we are looking at the economics of that based on the tariff. If the tariff looks very good, we will scale that up to continue to do that.
If we are talking to a layman, from your position as a scientist and as an engineer, what is the premium advantage that renewable energy, especially solar, has over the conventional energy source?
It's cost effective, it's cheaper.
Cheaper in the long run?
In the long run, absolutely. So it's not just to look at the cost of the deployment. And that is oftentimes what people look at. But over a period of time, if you are going to amortize the costs that you would do, because if you deploy a solar infrastructure, that initial cost is the main cost. The cost of O&M is almost zero, which means you are just amortizing that initial cost of deployment. And that makes the tariff very low. The second advantage also is the health and environmental advantage. If you look at diesel, the impact of diesel in people's lives, it's something that you cannot quantify. But solar will not generate any emission that will be harmful to the individual or the society. That is another advantage of that. Then the second advantage is how easy it is to deploy this infrastructure. So you don't need to do the right of way, you don't need to do some big studies, you don't need to deploy massive infrastructure. You can carve an area, deploy the whole infrastructure, which reduce the risk of vandalism. And that is why you now look at almost all our projects, we don't experience the case of vandalism because we don't need big transmission towers that will come from the south down to the north, which will be very expensive to guard all these transmission towers. Yes. And the third, it also gives you that opportunity to sell back. If you look at other African, European countries, specifically Germany, you can generate this electricity in your own house, and if you have excess, you can sell it out. So it even gives you opportunity to generate more income for yourself.
Finally, coming to work every day, what feeling does it give you?
It's a feeling of satisfaction, the feeling of accountability, the feeling of burden, continuously looking at how do I navigate from the daily administrative to making sure that we switch the light. Because whatever I'm doing in the office, if we are not out there switching the light, getting people connected, it's as useless as anything. So navigating, shortening the project development period to make sure that more people are connected. How do we deploy massive infrastructures within the communities to make sure that these 80 million people that are without electricity have been reduced? And I tell you that without any doubt, before the end of this dispensation, millions of Nigerians that do not have access will have access. We are already working on deploying 42 interconnected mini-grids. This has never happened in the entire Africa. Concurrently, working with 7 distribution companies, in fact, we have to seek the approval of the regulator to give us an approval to deploy beyond the 1 megawatt cap. And all these 42 interconnected mini-grids are going to be from more than 1 megawatt, some of them up to about 10 megawatts. This would generate close to 100 additional clean, reliable, sustainable electricity that will inject into the grid. This is what we are doing, and this is what makes us happy, and this is what we look forward to whenever we come to the office as in Rural Electrification Agency.
Thank you, MD.
Thank you very much.
We appreciate it.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you.
All right, and after watching that, gentlemen, you cannot but say, we wish the man there Godspeed.
Engineer Abba Aliyu.
Yeah, we wish him Godspeed because, yeah, what he's telling you and I might be ambitious, but he says it is achievable because we have the thing in abundance here. Solar, we have wind and water.
Yes, it's hydro.
Hydro.
And
we have sun.
Even, what is it called? You can generate electricity from sugarcane, for example.
Okay, yeah. And these are renewable energy sources, no emissions and so on.
Yeah. Yes. You know, sometimes it pays to look at what the competition is doing.
Okay.
And when I talk about competition, I'm looking at African countries, like Egypt, like Morocco. Morocco is the leader in terms of solar power in Africa. Morocco generates 830 megawatts from solar alone, and its plan is to move to 2,000 megawatts by 2027. And 2027 is close.
Yeah.
Morocco is already thinking of moving to, on solar alone, 830 megawatts and to expand to 2,000 by 2027. Wind, Morocco does 1,800 megawatts from wind.
Wow. Wow.
So solar and wind account for nearly 15% of the Moroccan energy mix. But the Morocco's plan is to ensure that 56% of its entire energy mix comes from solar by 2030.
All right, gentlemen, time is a master here, so we must, I must thank both of you. Well, Siki, what do we take away from you?
No. The fact is that we have the opportunity to be able to do the needful. The current rate at which we are hovering between 4,000 and 5,000 megawatts of power for a population of over 200 million people is unacceptable. So whichever we can be able to do and be able to increase that and get Nigeria.
It can only get better.
Finally, just when we talk about the issue of the successes of the Army, BKO,
yes,
it was a joint effort.
We forgot to say that they are working together.
Yeah.
And I'm happy with the synergy. The Air Force is involved in those successes. You know, it gives the surface troops a lot of confidence when they see the birds in the sky. When they see the Air Force, they know that they are not alone, and they are happy to work together. So we are confident that our troops will overcome. It's just a matter of time.
All right. So what more do we say? Safe to say, we look on the next stage. It can only get better from here.